All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth with Ben Jokes. Now, one of my subscribers sent me a screenshot of a piece of information on WhatsApp. Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu criticizing Peter Obi. He said I didn't talk about it and he was wondering if I missed it. Well, just as I replied him, I did not miss it. I actually saw it about an hour after it dropped on Vanguard. But here is the thing, I refused and I still refuse to discuss the content of Sanwo-Olu's criticism of a man like Peter Obi. Sanwo-Olu was handpicked by TINUBU and other thugs in Lagos. He has never with his own brain or effort convinced 3 people to vote for him in his whole life. He sits there in Lagos as a figurehead, and anything, not anyone, anything that has breath in Tinubu's compound can tell him what to do. That is not a man that will talk about Peter Obi and I'll get angry or react to it here. So let Sanwo-Olu talk to Obi's boy, Gbadebo Rhodes, who was on course to send him out of office before he applied the same disgraceful method that his boss applied to get into Aso Rock. Shameless man. Now, let us look at the top story. The CPC faction of the APC, led by Buhari, continues their brutal war with the Tinubu-led ACN faction as discussions on massive defection of the CPC bloc from the APC continue to dominate the political space. On Friday, Professor Umar of the CPC Buhari faction called Tinubu a failure for taking so much loans within 23 months. And hours ago, Senator Adiola of the ACN Tinubu faction hit back at Buhari's camp by telling one of the biggest lies of the decade to humiliate Buhari in this dirty public fight between Tinubu and Buhari. And at this point, it will only take a miracle for the CPC bloc not to pull out of the APC. Before I show you details of this top story and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you these videos. The first video here is from Senate President Godswill Akpabio. I laughed and frowned at the same time while watching this video. Akpabio turned preacher after he went for the burial of Pope Francis. See the video.
Nigerians.
Well, if you it's not just a great event to the world, but I think it was an event that shook the world. When you look at the Catholic Church is not just a church. The Vatican is also regarded as a state. So you have a head of state that died and was buried today. You also have the pontiff that headed this flock all over the world, well over 1.5 billion in number. And you have a man who died as a man today, the Pope, who was worth only $100. Showing that, yes, we cannot worship God in splendor, and that the best way to worship God is to worship God through self-sacrifice for others. So the message is very clear that Nigerians should love one another, and that poverty is not a crime, and that poverty could sometimes be a virtue of God, and that whatever you have, you should be able to share with your brothers and sisters. And above all, in this period of that Easter just ended, which coincided with the Salah, it's all about God. That yes, indeed, that love should transcend everything, because God so loved the world that He sent His only begotten Son to come and die in order to redeem mankind. And that is the period that you see the pontiff departing back to paradise, back to heaven to go and join his Father.
You heard that. Bishop Akpabio, thank you for the wonderful sermon. Poverty is a virtue, but you and Tinubu are emptying the national treasury into your pockets. You send thousands of dollars in the name of prayers to your fellow senators, but you want Nigerians to see poverty as a virtue. I don't blame you. I blame Nigerians that have allowed less than 0.0001% of the nation's population to destroy the entire nation. But remember that nothing lasts forever. You may be joking with Nigerians now. You may be mocking Nigerians with this poverty thing you just said, but it doesn't change the fact that everyone will die one day and leave all that they have stolen or gotten legitimately behind. And Grind here says Akpabio preaching poverty while sitting on stolen riches is the height of hypocrisy. Poverty isn't a virtue, it is a consequence of failed leadership. Nigerians deserve better. That is it. It's pure hypocrisy, because after preaching that poverty is a virtue in that video, he is going straight from there to go and loot the national treasury. What a shame. The next video here has the former national vice chairman of APC, Sulaiman Lukman, talking about the coalition to fix Nigeria. See the video.
I think the first thing is to clarify the objective of setting up the coalition is not just to defeat President TINUBU and APC, but to rebuild Nigerian democracy. There is no need belaboring the issue. The point is that Nigerians are disappointed. APC came with a lot of promise, and being a founding member of APC, I can talk about that very authoritatively. We promised Nigerians to end insecurity. We promised Nigerians to end corruption. We've promised Nigerians to ensure that at the minimum our democracy is functional. Unfortunately, here we are today in a situation when people talk about one-party state, I think they are being generous. The truth is that we don't even have a political party. APC itself, I don't regard it, and being there, I can say so authoritatively, any party whose organ are not meeting is not a political party. And as it is, the first thing, and this is the first disappointment with President TINUBU, I'm one of those who hold him in very high regard. I thought all the mistake of President Buhari, he will be able to correct it. Unfortunately, here we are, he has elevated Buhari to a status of a national hero, largely because he himself almost came with unprepared. He is ruling the country almost impulsively, taking decision without any plan, which is where we have landed in a situation whereby cost of living and income have been eroded, So I think, coming back to your question, the whole objective of the coalition, and this is the negotiation going on, to ensure that at the minimum, the mistake of the past are not only corrected, but we don't resume politics almost as business as usual. We must present to Nigerians a functional political party, one that can hold elected representative accountable. This is the negotiation going on, and agreement is almost concluded. In not too distant time, the whole coalition will be unveiled, and how we are going to mobilize Nigerians, how we are going to contest the election in 2027 will also be clarified to Nigerians.
You heard that. He said the coalition's outcome will be announced soon, meaning work is seriously going on the ground. I like the fact that it is underground. It is not there in the public domain before a lot of talks will come out to disrupt it. I think Yusuf Dati also alluded to this the last time he was on Arise. Anyway, I am not against a coalition, but my loyalty lies with Peter Obi. I have never said anything different. Anywhere he goes, I go. There is no politician in this country right now that can be trusted to turn things around, if not that man. I admit that an Atiku will be a better candidate than TINUBU, but he doesn't offer a new Nigeria. He will just be a bit fairer, and that does not solve our problems. That's not what Nigeria needs. The North should get behind Obi, and let's take this country back. Point blank, period. Now, let us look at the top story. Chairman of Senate Committee on Appropriation, Senator Adiola, threw the latest punch in the dirty public fight between TINUBU and Buhari by telling a very big lie. This is in fact the lie of the decade, and at this point, only a miracle can stop the CPC bloc from dumping APC. Look at how the papers reported it. Buhari's government borrowed $400 billion to stabilize Naira, Senator Adiola. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriation, Solomon Adiola, has alleged that former President Muhammadu Buhari's government borrowed over $400 billion in order to stabilize the Naira against the US currency. Adiola, who is representing Ogun West, also said the administration spent trillions of Naira on fuel subsidy, saying the funds were held by less than 1% of Nigeria's population. He said Bola Tinubu's two major decisions, fuel subsidy removal and floating of naira, saved Nigeria's economy from total collapse. The senator spoke on Saturday at the second edition of Town Hall Meeting Mega Empowerment and Thank You Tour held at Ayetoro Yewa, North Local Government Area of Ogun State. First, he removed the fuel subsidy. He removed the fuel subsidy because the subsidy payment ended up in the hands of people who are less than 1% of Nigerians. Yearly, the former president would have to borrow huge amount of money in the tune of trillions of naira in order to pay fuel subsidy. And when our father got to power, he said he could no longer afford to be borrowing huge amount of money that will end up in the hands of less than 1% of the country's population, whereas the payment is made for all Nigerians. The second policy has to do with floating of the naira. Before, in order to stabilize the dollar to the naira rate, we have to borrow money. We borrowed to suppress it. By the time this government assumed office, the amount borrowed is well above $400 billion in order to stabilize dollar to naira rate. We were also paying subsidy. That president had to stop that. He said following Tinubu's bold steps, Nigerian economy is now flowing in the right direction. What a lie. $400 billion. That's about 600 trillion naira. Now, he told this lie to some gullible people in Ogun State to whip up sentiments for Tinubu by putting all the blame on Buhari, because the people are already complaining that they are suffering too much. So they are just looking for a way to deceive the people. Meanwhile, our debt record is there in the open. Our total debt in Nigeria right now is still less than $200 billion. So if Buhari collected $400 billion, where did that one enter? Why was it not added to our total debt? This man, Senator Adiola, has gone totally mad, and many APC supporters, mainly the CPC faction people, have already started attacking him for what he said. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. Ibrahim Hassan here says Nigeria's external debt rose to $10 billion in 2015, $43 billion in the third quarter of 2023. This debt was owed by the federal government and subnationals. I don't know where $400 billion debt came from, which is about 100% of the annual GDP. That is it. It was $43 billion by 2023 when Buhari left. And Adamu Musa here says $400 billion, mister, is not a small amount. If you are smoking something, better throw it out. From where did we borrow the money? Who gave him the money? Even in the USA, $400 billion isn't small amount. Talk of Nigeria. I am telling you, the man is high on drugs. Well, we know where he got it from. And Caleb here says, the kind of loud these politicians smoke are out of this world. They just come with very outrageous lies to support their atrocious policies. How much is Nigeria's economy if Buhari borrowed $400 billion? I am telling you. And Kabir S. Suleiman here says, and he is a senator. How will Nigeria progress with this kind of people in the red chamber? Openly lying to the public, useless tribal bigots. He does not even know what $400 billion is. Agbero in the Senate. That is it. They just packed them, Agbero, from everywhere in Nigeria. Just dump them on us. And this tweet here says, who dash monkey banana? $400 billion is equivalent to 600 trillion naira. Senator Solomon Adiola, do you know what you are saying? So the man is mad. And Adam Shua here says, it is impossible. The record of our borrowings are available in DMO, and they are publishing it periodically for the benefit of the public. That is it. How can you even tell such a lie? Something you know that there is a place to verify. And Abdullahi here says $400 billion. Isn't that a slip of tongue? Who lent Nigeria that huge sum? Please don't be ridiculous, Senator. It's such a shame. A madman parading himself as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. $400 billion. Well, I am very happy with this development. I pray that they will continue to tell more lies to tarnish Buhari's already battered image, so that the CPC faction will intensify their rebellion against Tinubu. I want the party to crash ultimately. That is my own joy. I don't care if they are lying against Buhari or the Buhari faction is lying against Tinubu. That is not my business. What I'm waiting for now is for the Buhari faction to reply this lie that Senator Adiola of the Tinubu faction just told. Let them continue to go back and forth, cursing themselves out until the CPC bloc will get angry and they will say, we have had enough, and they will decamp from the APC, because once that bloc pulls out, the northern influence that the APC possesses will be gone, and they will be left in the cold. The sentiments, the Yoruba sentiments that Tinubu is whipping up alone cannot win him the number of votes that he needs to rig, because even many of the Yorubas are against him. So this is a big point for those of us who are patriotic, who want a new Nigeria. May this commotion continue within the APC. Anyway, make I leave am here. Make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Now I dey here, so don't go away.